Would you help a stranger, only to discover they hold the secret to bringing down a powerful empire? Michael Carter gripped the steering wheel of his old, beaten-down sedan, his knuckles white against the cracked leather. Rain hammered against the windshield, the wipers struggling to keep up with the downpour. It was supposed to be a simple drive, a chance to clear his mind after another day staring at eviction notices and unpaid bills. But nothing was simple for Michael anymore. 7 years. 7 years of building Vision Tech from nothing, pouring his savings, his sweat, his dreams into a tech startup meant to revolutionize data security. And now it was gone, crushed under the weight of corporate sabotage, undercut contracts, and investors who mysteriously vanished after finding out the founder was black. His phone buzzed on the passenger seat, a final warning from the landlord. Payment due tomorrow, or the locks will be changed. Michael clenched his jaw, his eyes blurring. Everything he had built was slipping through his fingers, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. A loud bang jolted him back to reality. The car shuddered, then listed to one side. A flat tire. Of course. Sighing, Michael pulled over to the side of the dark, rain-soaked road. He stepped out into the storm, rain immediately soaking his suit. The toolbox was old, the jack rusty, but he worked quickly, his fingers numb with cold. A sudden light washed over him, bright and blinding. Headlights. A sleek black SUV pulled up behind him. The window rolled down, and a man in a dark suit leaned out. "Hey, you! Seen a blonde woman come by here? Maybe asked for directions?" Michael shook his head, keeping his voice steady. "No, just me and this flat tire." "Shush." The man's cold eyes scanned him, then the inside of his car, lingering a little too long. Michael's pulse quickened, but finally the man nodded, and the SUV roared away, its taillights swallowed by the rain. A faint voice came from the back of his car. "Are they gone?" Michael froze, then glanced back. Slowly, the trunk lid popped open, and a young woman climbed out, her blonde hair tangled, her designer running clothes soaked in mud. "Thank you," she whispered, pulling the hood of her jacket tighter around her face. "I don't know what they would have done if they'd found me." Michael stared at her, a mix of shock and disbelief. Who are you?" Emily Reed," she said, offering a trembling hand. "And if you let me stay with you for just a little while, I promise I'll make it worth your while." "Must stay with me?" Michael repeated, incredulous. "I don't even know you." "Oh, then let me give you a reason." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, mud-streaked flash drive. "This has everything. Everything that can bring down my father." Your father?" "Richard Reed, CEO of Reed Enterprises." Michael's breath caught. Reed Enterprises, the corporate giant that had not only bought out his main competitor, but had also sabotaged his contracts, spreading false rumors and hacking his systems. Reed Enterprises had destroyed Vision Tech. "And you want me to help you? Because?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "Because you've lost everything, haven't you?" Emily whispered, her voice raw. "Because they crushed you, just like they've crushed so many others. But together, we can bring them down." Michael laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "Bring them down? I'm barely holding my own life together." "And which is why you have nothing left to lose." Michael looked at her, rain dripping from his soaked hair, his chest tight with anger, fear, and something else, a dangerous spark of hope. "Get in," he muttered, pushing the trunk closed. Emily slid into the back seat, shivering, and Michael climbed back into the driver's seat, the engine sputtering to life. He turned off the main road, taking a side path that twisted through the trees. His phone vibrated again, an alert. His license plate had been flagged for a stolen vehicle. "They've already marked us as car thieves," he muttered, showing Emily the notification. Her face paled. "We have to go somewhere safe. Do you have anywhere?" She thought for a moment, then nodded. 2 miles ahead, there's a dirt road. Follow it. Michael followed her directions, the rain easing into a mist as they wound through a dark, forested trail. Finally, they arrived at a small, forgotten cabin, its roof sagging under years of neglect. "Family property," Emily explained, her voice barely above a whisper. "My father forgot it existed." Inside, the cabin was dusty but dry. Michael grabbed an old blanket from a closet, tossing it to her. "You're going to explain everything, all of it." And Emily nodded, her fingers trembling as she wiped mud from her face. "Richard Reed is a criminal. He's built an empire on lies, fraud, bribery, and worse. And this," she held up the flash drive, "is proof." Michael stared at the small, unassuming device. A part of him wanted to laugh at the absurdity of it all. Another part whispered that this could be his chance to fight back, to reclaim something of what he had lost. "Why did you come to me?" he asked. "Because you're one of the only people with nothing left to lose." Michael leaned against the creaking door, rain pattering against the roof. His life was already ruined, but now, maybe, just maybe, he could use that ruin to bring down a monster. "All right, Emily," he whispered. "Tell me everything." The rain had eased to a light drizzle by the time Michael Carter lit a small fire in the cabin's stone fireplace. Emily Reed sat cross-legged on the dusty old couch, wrapped in a thick blanket, her blonde hair still damp. Her eyes flickered nervously to the window, as if expecting shadows to appear at any moment. "Start from the beginning," Michael demanded, leaning against the wall, his arms crossed. "You said your father is a criminal. What exactly are we talking about?" Emily hesitated, her fingers gripping the edges of the blanket. "Reed Enterprises looks clean on the surface. Tech investments, real estate, pharmaceuticals. But underneath, it's a web of fraud, bribing government officials, sabotaging competitors, tax evasion, and it's all orchestrated by my father, Richard Reed." "Napus." Michael felt his jaw tighten. "Your father is the reason I lost Vision Tech. His company bought out my main competitor and then spread rumors about my security systems being compromised. My investors vanished overnight." "I'm not surprised," Emily whispered. "He's done worse." "Much worse." "Why would you turn against him?" Michael asked, his voice softer. Emily's gaze dropped. "Because I found out the truth about the people he destroyed, about how he used my mother's name to hide shell companies. And when I confronted him, he had his security lock me in the penthouse. I was a prisoner." "Ishi." "So you ran?" "I didn't just run. I took this." She held up the flash drive. "It has everything. Financial records, incriminating emails, payments to corrupt officials. It's enough to bring down Reed Enterprises." Michael stared at the device. "And what do you expect me to do?" "Help me! We can take this to the police, the media." "The police?" Michael scoffed. "Your father has half the city in his pocket." "The media? They'd sell us out for an exclusive interview with him." "Then what do we do?" Emily whispered, her voice cracking. "We fight smarter." Michael's mind was racing. "We gather proof more than just that drive. We need testimony, witnesses, people who can back this up." "Do you know anyone who can help?" Emily asked, desperation clear in her eyes. "I know someone." "A lawyer, Clara Johnson. She's the only one who believed me when Vision Tech went under." Emily nodded. "Then we go to her." The next morning, with the rain finally clearing, Michael and Emily loaded into the car. Emily had changed into a plain hoodie and jeans Michael found in an old storage box, her designer running gear discarded. She looked like a different person, ordinary, almost invisible. They drove in silence, the city's skyline growing in the distance. Michael's mind raced. He was barely holding on, drowning in debts, but now he was caught up in something that felt like a storm. And yet, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was his chance. "Do you trust this lawyer?" Emily asked quietly. "With my life, Clara's tough. She doesn't back down." They arrived at a modest office building on the city's west side. A simple sign read, Clara Johnson, Legal Defense. Michael led Emily inside. The waiting room was quiet, the walls lined with certificates and framed photographs. Michael? A warm, steady voice called. A woman with a sharp, confident gaze stepped out from the back office. Clara Johnson. Her expression shifted from surprise to concern. What's going on? It's a long story. And it's dangerous, Michael began. We need your help. Clara's eyes swept over Emily. You're serious? Deadly serious. Inside her office, Michael and Emily explained everything. Reed Enterprises, the flash drive, the men chasing Emily. Clara listened in silence, her sharp eyes never leaving their faces. This is massive, Clara finally said, but it's also risky. If Reed finds out you have this, he won't just come after you. He'll come after anyone who helps you. I understand, Michael replied, but I won't let him destroy anyone else's life. Clara's lips pressed into a thin line. Then we need to do this right. I know a digital security expert, Sarah Lee. She can help us protect the files and trace where they lead. Will she help? Emily asked. She will if I ask. Clara stood. But we need to move fast. Reed won't just sit back. Gee. Outside the office, a sleek black car parked across the street. A man in a suit watched the door, his phone pressed to his ear. Sir, they're here. Both of them. Don't engage yet, a voice growled on the other end. Just watch. The next morning dawned grey and cold, the city wrapped in a blanket of mist. Michael Carter stood at the window of the small office, watching the empty street below. Clara Johnson sat at her desk, phone pressed to her ear, her voice a calm but urgent whisper. Yes, Sarah. I know it's risky, but I need you. Michael needs you. Just come to the office and I'll explain everything. A moment later she hung up, turning to Michael and Emily. Sarah's coming. But we need to be ready. If Reed knows you're here, he won't hesitate. He knows, Michael muttered, his eyes not leaving the street. There was a black car watching us when we arrived. Emily's face paled. That's them. His security. They won't stop. Then we stay ahead of them, Clara said firmly. We don't hide. We fight smart. Within an hour, Sarah Lee arrived, her tall, slender frame wrapped in a long coat, a laptop bag slung over her shoulder. Her sharp eyes scanned the room, and she offered a quick smile. Clara, you always know how to pick the fun cases. This isn't fun, Sarah, Michael warned. This is life or death. I got that impression, Sarah replied, setting her laptop on the desk and powering it on. So, what are we dealing with? Clara gestured to the flash drive in Emily's trembling hand. This has evidence enough to bring down Reed Enterprises. Sarah's expression shifted from casual interest to intense focus. Let's see it. Emily hesitated, then handed over the drive. Sarah plugged it in, her fingers flying across the keyboard. Files flashed open documents, emails, spreadsheets, all marked with the Reed Enterprises logo. Wow, Sarah whispered. This is enough to bury them. Can we protect it? Michael asked. Can we keep it from being destroyed? Not just protect it, Sarah grinned. We can duplicate it, encrypt it, make it so even if they destroy one copy, we'll still have it. Oh, good, Clara nodded. But we also need to make it usable in court. We can't just leak this. It has to be legally admissible. Emily sank into a chair, rubbing her temples. I never thought it would get this far. I thought I could just run. Running wouldn't have saved you, Michael said gently. But fighting might. Suddenly Sarah's laptop beeped. Her face darkened. We have a problem. What now? Clara asked. They're trying to trace this connection. Someone is trying to track us fast. Reed's people? Michael asked. No, it's too advanced for his goons. This is corporate-level security. maybe even government level.
"Can you stop them?" Emily whispered, panic in her voice. "I can slow them down!" Sarah's fingers flew faster, windows popping up on the screen, encrypted codes flashing.
But they're good. Michael paced, his mind racing. We can't stay here. They'll find us. Agreed, Clara stood. There's a safe house I know. Used it for clients who needed protection. We go there, stay off the grid. I can reroute the connection, make it look like we're still here for a few hours, Sarah added. That will buy us time. Let's move, Michael ordered, grabbing his coat. He helped Emily to her feet, her face pale but determined. They slipped out the back door, moving quickly through the narrow alley. Rain had begun to fall again, a thin mist that clung to the air. Michael's heart raced, but he forced himself to stay calm. Clara led them to an old, nondescript car parked at the end of the block. Get in. Sarah, you take the laptop. Keep monitoring. As they sped away, Michael glanced at Emily in the back seat. You holding up? I don't know, she whispered. I didn't think he'd go this far. You're a threat to him, Michael replied. And when people like him feel threatened, they get dangerous. The safe house was a small brick-walled apartment above an old bookstore. Clara unlocked the door, leading them inside. It was plain but clean, with a small kitchenette, 2 bedrooms, and a sofa. Not a palace, but it's secure, Clara said. Nobody knows this place except me, and now you. So Sarah immediately set up her laptop, connecting a small device that emitted a faint blue light. Signal jammer. If they try to trace us again, they'll hit a wall. Emily sank onto the sofa, her head in her hands. This is too much. Down, Michael sat beside her. We'll get through this. You really believe that? I have to. Clara watched them, her phone buzzing. She answered, her face darkening. Sarah. They've frozen my accounts. Sarah's head snapped up. They're trying to starve us out. Make us desperate. Not just us, Clara whispered. My clients. If they can't pay me, I can't keep this place. Michael clenched his fists. He's trying to crush us. Judge Sarah stood. Let him try, we're not out yet. And Michael nodded, his eyes blazing. We're not just going to hide, we're going to fight. The rain had returned, a relentless downpour that hammered against the windows of the safe house. Michael Carter leaned against the narrow kitchen counter, his gaze fixed on the glowing screen of Sarah's laptop. Lines of code danced across it, a digital battlefield where Sarah fought to keep them invisible. Are we secure? Clara Johnson asked, pacing the small living room, her voice tight with tension. For now, Sarah muttered, not looking up. But they're relentless. Whoever's tracking us has resources way more than we do. Emily Reed sat curled up on the sofa, a blanket wrapped around her shoulders. Her eyes were fixed on the flickering light of the storm outside. He won't stop, she whispered. My father won't stop until he finds me, or until I'm silenced. God, not if we get to him first, Michael said, his voice firm. Clara glanced at him, her sharp gaze unreadable. Michael, we're outmatched. Reed has money, power, and influence. All we have is a flash drive and a lot of courage. Then we use what we have. Michael leaned forward, his voice low but steady. We expose him. Not just legally, but publicly. We don't just fight him, we destroy his reputation. Sarah smiled, her fingers never leaving the keyboard. Now you're thinking like a survivor. What do we need? Clara asked. We need to know who's protecting him, Michael replied. Politicians. Judges? If we can show he's corrupting the system, he'll lose his protection. I can dig, Sarah said, her voice calm. But I'll need time, and a lot of coffee. Consider it done. Clara smiled for the first time, grabbing her coat. I know a place that still trusts me. I'll be back. As Clara slipped out into the rain, Michael sat beside Emily. "You okay?" "No," she whispered, "but I have to be. We'll get through this. But I need you to tell me everything. Every secret, every deal, every dirty tactic your father used." Emily nodded slowly. "He built his empire on corruption, bribes to government officials, blackmailing CEOs, sabotaging competitors, like you." Michael's jaw tightened. "I figured that much." His biggest fear is exposure. He always told me, power is just the illusion of control. As long as they believe you, they obey you. "Then we break that illusion," Michael whispered. 2 hours later, Clara returned with a duffel bag filled with food and supplies. Still no sign of them outside. "But they will find us eventually." "Then we stay ahead of them," Michael replied. "Sarah, how's it going?" "I've got a map of Reed's network." She spun the laptop around, showing a web of names, faces, and connections. Politicians, judges, even a few federal agents. He's bought them all. "Can we expose them?" Clara asked. "If we're smart about it, but we need proof, and right now all we have is this drive." Emily leaned forward. "There's another way." "What?" Michael asked. "My father. He has a secret server, hidden files." The kind of proof that could bring down his entire empire. "Where?" Sarah asked, her eyes lighting up. "At his penthouse." "In his private office. It's air-gapped, no external access, but I know the password." He trusts no one but himself. Michael looked at Clara. "That's it. That's what we need." Clara shook her head. "Michael, that's suicide." "Walking into his penthouse? With his security everywhere?" "Not if we do it right," Michael said. "We get in. We get the files, and we walk out." "Walk out?" Clara almost laughed. "Are you serious? We don't have a choice. If we can get those files, we can end this." Emily's voice was a whisper. "I can get us in." Michael turned to her. "How?" "My father has a biometric lock." "But I have access. Family security. He never thought I'd betray him." "That gives us a way in," Sarah said. "But we still need a plan. A way to get out." "Leave that to me," Clara said, her confidence returning. "I'll figure out an exit. But this has to be flawless." "Then we plan," Michael said, his voice calm but fierce. "We plan, and we don't stop until we know exactly what we're doing." Over the next 2 days, they mapped out their heist. Sarah created a secure connection, linking her laptop to a remote cloud server where they could store any data they retrieved. Clara secured fake IDs and planned their escape route. Emily rehearsed the access codes, her fingers trembling, but her eyes determined. "You're sure about this?" Michael asked her the night before. "I have to be," she whispered. "If we don't stop him, no one will." The next night, under the cover of darkness, they set out. Clara's old sedan blended into the city's crowded streets. Michael's heart pounded, but his face remained calm. "This is crazy," Clara whispered, gripping the wheel. "It's the only way," Michael replied. They parked 2 blocks from Reed Tower, the gleaming skyscraper that loomed over the city. Emily adjusted the hood of her jacket, her face hidden in shadow. "Remember, we get in, we get the files, and we get out. No risks," Michael whispered. "Got it," Emily breathed, her voice barely steady. "Good luck," Clara whispered. "And remember, if anything goes wrong, you text me." And they slipped into the alley, the rain masking their footsteps. Michael's mind raced, every instinct telling him this was a terrible idea, but they were out of options. And if they failed tonight, they wouldn't get another chance. The city lights shimmered through the rain-streaked windows of Reed Tower, the skyscraper looming over the city like a silent fortress. Michael Carter and Emily Reed stood in the narrow alley beside the building, their hoods pulled low, faces hidden in shadows. "Are you sure about this?" Michael whispered, his voice barely audible over the rain. "I'm sure," Emily replied.
her fingers trembling slightly. He never thought I'd use this. But I know how to get in. They slipped around the corner, moving with purpose, but without drawing attention. Emily led Michael to a side entrance, a sleek, unmarked door. A security camera loomed above, but she pulled out a small device. Sarah's handiwork and pressed a button. The camera's red light blinked, then went dark. "Signal jammer," Emily whispered. "We have 30 seconds. E." She pressed her palm against the biometric scanner. A soft beep, and the door clicked open. Michael followed her inside, his heart pounding like a war drum. They stepped into a dimly lit hallway lined with glass walls and polished marble floors. The air smelled of expensive leather and fresh-cut flowers. This was Richard Reed's domain. "His office is on the top floor," Emily whispered. "We take the private elevator." Private?" Michael frowned. "Won't that be monitored?" "Not for me," Emily replied, her voice tight. "As far as they know, I'm just coming home." And the elevator doors slid open, and they stepped inside. Emily pressed her thumb against the scanner, and the elevator hummed to life, shooting upward. "I can't believe we're doing this," Michael muttered, his fists clenched. "We have to," Emily whispered. "If we don't get those files, everything we have means nothing." The elevator doors opened to a sprawling penthouse office. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a breathtaking view of the city, the rain casting a silver sheen across the glass. Marble floors gleamed beneath their feet, and a massive mahogany desk dominated the center of the room. "This way," Emily whispered, leading Michael to a hidden door behind a bookshelf. She pressed her palm to another scanner, and the door slid open, revealing a smaller, dimly lit office lined with steel cabinets and a glowing computer terminal. "Here it is," she whispered. "His private server." Oh, Michael moved quickly, pulling a USB drive from his pocket, the one Sarah had prepared. "Can you access it?" "Yes." Emily's fingers danced over the keyboard, the screen flickering to life. Password, biometric verification, and a chime. Access granted. Michael's heart pounded as file after file appeared, financial records, internal memos, emails, contracts, all marked with the Reed Enterprises logo. "Is this it?" he whispered. "It's more than enough," Emily replied, her voice trembling. "This is everything." Proof of bribes, sabotage, illegal offshore accounts, my father's entire criminal empire. Copy it. Everything. Emily nodded, the drive filling rapidly, but then a faint, distant chime echoed through the room. "Someone's accessing the system remotely," she whispered. "We need to hurry." Almost done," Michael muttered, watching the progress bar climb. But then a voice boomed through the room. "Alexandra!" Emily froze. On the wall-mounted screen, Richard Reed's face appeared, his sharp, cold eyes glaring at them. "Did you really think you could walk into my home and steal from me?" he snarled. "Dad," Emily whispered, her voice shaking. "Traitor," Richard spat, "and you brought a thief with you." Michael stepped forward. "I'm no thief. I'm the man you tried to destroy. Michael Carter." "Vision tech." Richard's lips curled into a sneer. "Still playing the victim, I see." "No, not this time." Michael's voice was cold. "This time I'm fighting back." "Brave words," Richard growled, "but you won't leave this building alive." A loud clang echoed from the hallway. Heavy footsteps. Security. "Michael," Emily whispered, panic rising in her voice. "Get the files, now!" The progress bar flashed 100%. Michael yanked the USB drive free. "Let's go!" They burst through the hidden door, racing toward the elevator. But the doors were already opening, two armed guards stepping out. "Stop!" one shouted. Michael's fists moved on instinct, his knuckles cracking against the guard's jaw. The man staggered back, but the second guard raised his gun. A loud bang. Glass shattered as Emily grabbed a vase and smashed it over the guard's head.
He fell to the floor, stunned. "This way," Michael shouted, pulling Emily down a side hallway. "They'll seal the exits," she gasped. "Not if we're fast." They tore down a spiral staircase, the sound of alarms blaring around them. A side door loomed ahead, but as Michael reached for it, another guard lunged at him. Michael's elbow struck the man's temple, and he collapsed. Emily grabbed the handle, yanking the door open, and they burst out onto a rain-soaked rooftop. "Michael, what now?" she cried. Michael's eyes scanned the roof. There! An external maintenance ladder bolted to the side of the building. He grabbed it, climbing down, the metal slick with rain. Emily followed, her breath coming in gasps. "Faster!" Michael shouted, but then a spotlight swept over them. A helicopter hovered overhead, its beam blinding them. "They found us!" Emily screamed. "Keep moving!" They reached the alley below, Michael's feet splashing into a puddle. He grabbed Emily's hand, pulling her through the narrow passage, the roar of the helicopter following them. "Michael, we're trapped." "No. Clara's nearby." He pulled out his phone, texting one word. "Now." At a screech of tires, Clara's old sedan skidded to a halt at the alley's end. "Get in!" she shouted. They dove into the back seat, and Clara slammed the gas, the car shooting forward. Behind them, the helicopter hovered, but the narrow streets made it impossible to follow. "You got it?" Clara yelled over the roar of the engine. Michael held up the USB drive, his face pale but fierce. "We got it." The rain hammered against the windshield as Clara's old sedan sped through the narrow, dark streets. Michael Carter sat in the back seat, his breathing heavy, one hand gripping the USB drive like it was his lifeline. Beside him, Emily Reed leaned against the door, her face pale, her eyes wide with fear. "Did we lose them?" she whispered. "For now," Clara muttered, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. "But that helicopter won't give up. They know you're with me now." Michael leaned forward. "We have what we need, but we're not safe. Richard knows who we are, and he's not going to stop." "I'm aware of that," Clara replied, her voice tense, "which means we have to move fast. If we're going to bring him down, we can't just rely on this drive. We need to ensure it can't be discredited." "Hey, Sarah's our best shot," Michael said. "She can authenticate the files, protect them. Then we go to her," Clara decided, "but not to the safe house. They'll be watching." The rain continued to pour, the city's neon lights blurring against the wet glass. Michael's heart raced, the adrenaline refusing to fade. They had the evidence, but they were still being hunted. After half an hour of winding through back streets, Clara pulled into a dimly lit parking garage beneath an old apartment building. She turned off the engine, letting out a long, shaky breath. "Stay here," she whispered, pulling out her phone. "I'll get Sarah on the line." As Clara stepped out, Michael turned to Emily. "You okay?" "I don't know," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. It's too much. We're almost there. Once we get these files verified, we can take him down." "I'm scared, Michael," she whispered. "He won't just destroy us." "He'll destroy everyone we care about." Michael reached out, his hand resting gently on hers. "I won't let that happen." And a few minutes later, Clara climbed back into the driver's seat. "Sarah's on her way. I told her to meet us at a backup location." Where?" Michael asked. "An old warehouse she uses for her freelance work, off the grid." "Perfect for us right now." They drove in silence, the rain easing to a mist. When they arrived at the warehouse, a metal door slid open, and Sarah Lee appeared, her sharp eyes scanning the street before waving them in. "Inside now!" she called. Clara parked the car, and they rushed inside. The warehouse was cluttered with computer equipment, cables snaking across the floor, monitors casting a faint blue glow over the dark space. "Did you get it?" Sarah asked, already pulling her laptop from her bag. Michael handed her the USB drive. "Everything." "But Richard knows. He saw us." Sarah's face tightened. "Then we don't have much time." She plugged in the drive, her fingers flying over the keyboard. File after file appeared on the screen: documents, emails, financial transactions, all marked with the Reed Enterprises logo. "Is it legit?" Clara asked. "Oh, it's legit," Sarah whispered, her eyes wide. "But we need to make sure they can't deny it. We authenticate the metadata, show it wasn't tampered with. That way, even if they try to discredit it, we have proof." "Can you do it?" Michael asked. "Already on it." Emily watched the screen, her hands trembling. "It's all here." Everything he did. The bribes, the sabotage, the offshore accounts. "Good," Clara said, her voice hard. "Now we need a plan. We can't just drop this in the media. Richard's lawyers will crush it." "Well, then we make it so big they can't ignore it," Michael suggested. "We go to the authorities, but we also go public. Social media, news outlets, we drown him in exposure." Sarah smiled. "Now you're talking." "Jin, but we need someone to help push it," Clara warned. "Someone with reach." "I know someone," Emily whispered. "A journalist. Someone who isn't afraid of my father." "Can we trust them?" Michael asked. "Absolutely. They hate him even more than I do." "Good." "We'll use that," Clara nodded. "Sarah, how long?" "Give me an hour. I'll have this locked down." As Sarah worked, Michael leaned against the wall, watching Emily. "You did well tonight." "I feel like I'm drowning," she whispered. "Like I can't breathe. That's fear, but you're still here. You're still fighting. Because I have to, because he can't keep getting away with it." Well, Michael nodded, and he won't, not this time. Yet an hour later, Sarah leaned back, a satisfied grin on her face. "Done. These files are authenticated, duplicated, and secured. Even if they destroy this drive, we have backup copies." "Good," Clara smiled. "Emily, call your contact." "Set up a meeting." "I will." Emily's voice was stronger now. "We're going to bring him down." But as they prepared to leave, a sudden bang echoed against the metal door. Michael's heart froze. "They found us," Clara whispered, her face pale. Sarah grabbed her laptop, shoving it into her bag. "There's a back exit." Michael grabbed Emily's hand. "Go!" They raced through the narrow corridors of the warehouse, the pounding on the door growing louder. The back exit loomed ahead, and Clara shoved it open, leading them into a dark, rain-soaked alley. "Where now?" Emily gasped. "We split up," Clara ordered. "Sarah, you take the drive and disappear. Keep it safe." "And you?" Sarah asked. "I'll keep them busy." Clara drew a small handgun from her coat, her jaw set. "Michael, get Emily out of here." Michael hesitated. "Clara, go!" she barked, and then she was gone, disappearing back into the darkness. "Come on," Michael whispered, pulling Emily after him. Rain poured down, the cold biting at their faces. Behind them, the warehouse echoed with shouts and the distant crack of gunfire. "Will she be okay?" Emily sobbed. "She's Clara. She's tougher than she looks." But even as he said it, Michael's heart ached with fear. They were running out of allies, running out of time. And Richard Reed wasn't just powerful. He was relentless. The rain was a distant memory by morning, but the storm had only just begun. Michael Carter and Emily Reed hid in a cramped, dimly lit motel room on the city's outskirts. The air smelled faintly of stale cigarettes, the wallpaper peeling at the edges. Emily sat on the edge of the bed, staring at her phone, her fingers trembling. "Did she make it?" she whispered. Michael didn't answer immediately. He was pacing, his mind racing. Clara's last words echoed in his mind. "Get Emily out of here." And then she had vanished into the darkness, leaving them with nothing but fear. "Sarah hasn't responded yet," Michael finally said, his voice tight. "But if anyone can get away, it's Clara." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "I dragged you all into this. It's my fault." "No," Michael snapped, turning to face her.
Your father did this. His greed.
His corruption. We're here because he turned you into a prisoner, because he destroyed lives.
And a sharp knock on the door made them both freeze. Michael's pulse raced. He grabbed the small chair, holding it like a weapon.
"Who is it?" he called. "It's me." A familiar voice.
Michael rushed forward, yanking the door open. Clara stumbled inside, soaked in rain, her face pale but defiant. "Close it!"
Michael shut the door, locking it.
"You're okay?"
"Barely," Clara muttered, collapsing into the nearest chair. "They chased me. But I lost them. Sarah's safe. She has the files."
Then relief flooded Emily's face. "Clara, I'm so sorry. Don't be. This is what we signed up for." Clara leaned back, her eyes closing for a moment.
"But we can't keep running. We need to go on the offensive."
Then Michael nodded. "I agree. Emily, you said you have a contact." "A journalist?" "Yes. Her name is Lisa Porter. She's been trying to expose my father for years. But he's too powerful. Every time she gets close, he shuts her down." "Then we give her the one thing he can't shut down," Clara whispered.
"The truth. Sarah's securing the files, making them legally undeniable. If we go public, we need to make sure it's airtight," Michael added.
"I can get Lisa to meet us," Emily whispered. "But it has to be somewhere safe."
"Safe doesn't exist for us anymore," Michael muttered.
"But we can make it hard for them." Clara stood, shaking the rain from her coat. "Then we meet somewhere crowded. Somewhere they can't just make us disappear." An hour later, they were sitting in the bustling corner of a crowded cafe, the noise a comforting shield. Michael kept his back to the wall, his eyes scanning the entrance. Clara sipped her coffee, her face calm but her eyes sharp. "Will she come?" Clara asked. "She'll come," Emily whispered. 5 minutes later, a woman in her mid-30s stepped through the door. Sharp eyes, a confident stride, a leather bag slung over her shoulder. Lisa Porter. Emily stood, waving her over. Lisa's gaze swept over them, and she made her way to the table, her expression neutral. "Emily Reed," she greeted, sitting down. "I have to admit, I wasn't sure if this was a trap." "It's not," Emily whispered, "but we need your help." Lisa's sharp eyes flicked to Michael and Clara. "You brought friends." "Friends who have proof that Richard Reed is a criminal," Michael said, leaning forward. "And we're willing to share it." "Proof?" Lisa's interest peaked. "Real proof. Not just rumors. Financial records, emails, evidence of bribery, sabotage, illegal offshore accounts," Clara listed off. "And it's all verified." Lisa leaned back, her expression guarded but intrigued. "That's a lot, and you want me to go public with it?" "Yes," Emily whispered, "but we need your help to do it right."
"We can't just leak it. He'll spin it, bury it." "He can try," Lisa smirked.
"But if this is as big as you say, even he won't be able to stop it." Michael leaned forward. "We need to do this fast." "Before he can counter, can you help us?" Lisa studied them, her fingers drumming against the table. "I can. But we need to do this carefully. We release it all at once, multiple outlets, social media, direct to the public. Make it impossible to contain." Then Clara nodded. "That's what we planned. Then get me the files. I'll make sure the world sees it." Suddenly, Michael's phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. "They know. They're coming." "Time's up," Michael whispered. "We have to move." Lisa stood, her expression serious. "I'll be in touch. Send me everything." "Where can we reach you?" Emily asked. "You won't need to. I'll find you." Lisa slipped out the door, disappearing into the crowd. "Back to the car," Clara whispered, her voice tense. "Now." They stepped out into the street, the cold wind cutting through them, but as they neared the alley, a black SUV skidded to a stop, the doors flying open. "Run!" Michael shouted, grabbing Emily's hand.
They sprinted down the narrow alley, Clara pulling her handgun from her coat, firing a shot that shattered the SUV's window. A shout of pain echoed, but they didn't stop. Another car pulled in from the opposite end, cutting them off.
"We're trapped," Emily cried. Michael's eyes scanned the alley. A metal ladder.
"Up! Now!" They scrambled up the rickety fire escape, the wind howling around them. Clara fired another shot, forcing the men below to take cover. On the rooftop, Michael pulled Emily to her feet. "Keep going." They raced across the rain-slick roof, Clara close behind. But as they reached the far edge, a helicopter's spotlight washed over them. "Down!" Clara shouted, pushing them behind a large ventilation unit. Michael's phone buzzed again. Another text from Sarah. "New safe house. Send location."
"I'm coming. Sarah's coming for us," Michael whispered. "We just have to hold on."
Just below, the men were climbing the fire escape. The helicopter circled, its spotlight sweeping across the roof. "We're sitting ducks here," Emily cried. "Not yet," Clara whispered, pulling out her phone. "Sarah, make it fast." The wind howled across the rooftop, the helicopter's spotlight slicing through the darkness. Michael Carter, Emily Reed, and Clara Johnson crouched behind a rusted ventilation unit, their breaths coming in sharp, panicked gasps. "They're going to trap us here," Clara whispered, her eyes locked on the circling helicopter. "Not if we keep moving," Michael whispered. He glanced down at his phone, Sarah's last message. "Sending help. Hold on. Help." "What help?" Emily gasped, her voice shaking. "Sarah has a way of finding solutions," Michael replied, though he wasn't entirely sure himself. Below, the black SUVs had swarmed the alley, armed men pouring out, their dark suits barely visible in the shadows. One of them raised a megaphone. "Emily Reed, Michael Carter." "There's nowhere to run. Surrender now, and we can discuss terms." Emily's hand gripped Michael's arm. "It's him, my father's head of security." "We're not surrendering," Clara whispered fiercely. "That's not an option." Michael's phone buzzed again. A new message from Sarah. 3 minutes.
"Get ready." "Ready for what?" Clara asked. Suddenly, a roar echoed above them, and another helicopter appeared. This one sleek, unmarked, its searchlight blasting down onto the armed men below.
"That's not them," Michael whispered.
"It's Sarah,"
Clara whispered, her voice filled with relief. The second helicopter descended rapidly, its side door sliding open. A figure leaned out, waving wildly. Sarah Lee. "Get to the roof's edge," she shouted, her voice carried by the wind. Clara grabbed Emily's hand, pulling her toward the edge. Michael followed, his heart pounding. "Go, jump!" Sarah shouted. A metal ladder was lowered, swinging wildly in the wind. Clara leapt first, her fingers catching the rungs. Michael pushed Emily forward, and she scrambled onto the ladder, her knuckles white as she clung tightly. Michael was last, the wind ripping at his coat, but as he grabbed the ladder, a gunshot echoed, the bullet whizzing past his head. "Hold on!" Sarah screamed, the helicopter rising. Michael's arms ached, his grip slipping as the ladder swung wildly. Below, the armed men fired, but the second helicopter's spotlight blinded them, scattering their aim. As they rose higher, Clara pulled herself into the open door, grabbing Emily and hauling her inside. Michael struggled, his muscles burning, but then a strong hand grabbed his wrist. "Got you!" Sarah shouted, pulling him in. The helicopter doors slid shut, the roar of the blades drowning out the chaos below. Michael collapsed onto the floor, gasping for breath. Emily's arms wrapped around him, her face buried against his shoulder. We made it," she whispered. "We made it," he whispered back, his voice weak with relief. Sarah leaned over them, a fierce grin on her face. "You guys really know how to find trouble." "Yeah, thank you," Clara whispered, leaning back, her face pale. "You saved us. Thank me later." "We're not clear yet." Sarah turned to the pilot, a rugged woman with sharp eyes. "Alice, Get us out of here.
Bad. The helicopter banked sharply, the city lights vanishing below them. Michael leaned against the metal wall, his pulse slowly settling. But the weight of fear hadn't left his chest. "Sarah, where are we going?" "A place they won't expect," she replied. "One of my safe houses, remote, off the grid."
And Michael nodded, his eyes finding Emily. "Are you okay?" I don't know," she whispered, wiping tears from her cheeks. I thought we were going to die."
"But not today," Clara muttered, reloading her pistol. "But Richard knows we won't stop, and that makes us more dangerous to him than ever."
"I'll do it, which means he'll double down," Sarah warned. "If he can't silence you, he'll destroy your credibility. Turn this against you."
Then we have to be faster," Michael said, his voice steady. "We go public, now."
"Well, Lisa is ready," Emily whispered. "I told her we'd be in touch." "Then we give her everything," Michael decided.
"All the files. And we make it clear we're not hiding." 2 hours later, the helicopter touched down on a secluded hillside, mist curling through the trees. Sarah led them into a small, cabin-like structure, her equipment already set up. "Here," she said, pulling a secure laptop from her bag. "We get this to Lisa."
"Clara, you know the plan?" Clara nodded, her voice calm. "I'll make sure the files are properly authenticated and sent to every major news outlet. They can't ignore it."
Michael looked at Emily, his hand resting on her shoulder. "Are you ready?"
"I don't know," she whispered. "But I can't stop now."
So Sarah's fingers flew across the keyboard, the files transferring. "It's done. Lisa has them."
"In 30 minutes, the world is going to see who Richard Reed really is." Silence fell over the room. Michael's heart raced. This was it. They had pushed all their chips to the center. No turning back. But then his phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "You think you've won? It's not over." And Michael's fingers tightened around the phone. "He knows." "Let him know," Clara whispered, her gaze fierce. "He can't stop the truth now." This story of Michael Carter and Emily Reed is a powerful reminder that true courage comes not from wealth or power, but from standing up for what is right. Michael, a once successful businessman who lost everything to corporate greed, finds an unexpected ally in Emily, the daughter of the corrupt CEO who destroyed his company. Together, they risk everything to expose the truth and fight against a corrupt empire. For older American audiences, this story highlights the importance of integrity and resilience. No matter how powerful those who do wrong may seem, their power is always built on a foundation of lies and deceit. Michael and Emily's journey shows that even ordinary people can challenge injustice when they come together, refuse to be silenced, and use the power of truth as their weapon. It also emphasizes that redemption is always possible. Emily, once a part of her father's corrupt world, chooses to fight against it, proving that our choices define us more than our past. The story is a testament to the idea that no matter how dark things seem, light can always break through when we have the courage to do what is right.